So yeah, a bit before I start, thanks for having me, guys. And then I'm just gonna do a little bit of a history about AGXEED and its origin, and then we'll talk a little bit about the portfolio, and then I'll talk a little bit why it is a tool to not replace labour, but to enhance the labour you've already got. And then, any questions at the end, feel free to ask away. So, first of all, I'm going to play a little video of our latest machine, which I think we'll start seeing quite a few of in Australia. It's very much suited towards our thing.
So just jump in a little bit, Sam. So where's that machine actually running at the moment? Is that in Australia or somewhere else?
The machines there were they're all in Europe at the minute because we've got two of the new ones on order, and we won't get them till the start of the year, really, because unfortunately what happened was we as a company, I'm jumping ahead a bit here, had got the rights pretty early on to import these, and we decided, this is such a new technology, we have to evaluate the product ourselves. So the four gentlemen on the screen now I don't think were particularly happy with myself because I held the product back in Australia and New Zealand as we evaluated it. And we went to market in October, and we're at the Gap Tech Showcase where Dominic first met me. And then, in November, Agritechnica came along. They released this new machine. So February started building them, and they've done a quarter of the sales orders just on that machine since February. And as you'll see in a minute, they've been commercially available since 2022, the AGXEED platform. Anyway, the founders. I think the most important thing about the AGXEED story is the founders. We've got four guys here, two engineers and two operational guys. And they worked at Europe for AGCO in Europe, building the European Rogator and Challenger. And, between these four gentlemen, there's about 100 years of agricultural engineering experience, which for us as an importer is really important, because when you're introducing a new technology, you need to understand that the people that are designing your new product actually understand what farmers want, what farmers need, and what the machines are going to go through. So that was quite important for us. And then early on, they had investment from the likes of Claas and Amazon, which was the two other companies in our portfolio we import. So, that for us was a big sign of confidence from a mainstream of OEMs that these guys were to be trusted with, with basically the farmer's money ultimately at the end of the day. So in 2019, they had the first prototype built, and then a couple of years later, sort of 21, 22, the first commercially sold robot was released to the market. Around 22, 23, Land Power became the sole importer distributor for Australia and New Zealand. And around that time, we also had a few more products added to the portfolio. And then leading on from that, between 2023 and 2026, there was a lot of development in the software and the control systems of our machines. And I think the important thing here is our machines are tractors without cabs, but they use the latest technology like electric drives and things like that. So we haven't really had a hardware change since 2019, but all the gains in efficiency and performance have come through software. So, 2020, end of 24, 25, we were getting pretty confident. And then, end of 25, we decided to go to market. And then 26, we've had another machine added to the portfolio, along with some support technology in terms of implement sensing technology, and also taking the brains out of the robot and creating controllers for normal tractors, which allow the operator to utilize the other half of our product, which is TrackWise, to pre-plan tasks, set the machinery in work settings, and send it to a manned tractor as basically a next level steering system, so the farm manager has the complete control of the how the work's done and complete oversight of how the work's being executed. We have machines pretty much all over the globe now. Real high concentration in Europe, obviously, with Western Germany being the biggest growth area at the moment. But in Australia here, we've got a lot of demand for the newer higher horsepower machine because it fits the farming style quite well. And Canada has just taken delivery of its first tractor machine. Beforehand, it had a few orchard machines. So, like I alluded to, the AGXEED ecosystem. We've got robots that will listen to their implements and execute commands based off the implement input, which is completely definable by the farmer. And then the robot will execute the task as defined by the farmer or the supervisor, I suppose you could call them. That portal is you plan the tasks on a laptop, and then you could sit down at the start of the year and have your whole farming program for the year nutted out within a week. Because you have everything, you have every field, every implement, every machine in that portal. You can pre-plan, and then through the year you can use either the portal or the app to load those tasks onto the machine and send the machine to work. And then later on in the year, we're going to have the VCU. We're currently in the evaluation stage, and that will allow a farmer to both have his tractor and his robot on the same control portal. And the VCU just uses the Isobus TIM functionality, so it doesn't void your compliance or anything like that. But you still have to you can put a driver in that seat. You don't have to have a skilled operator anymore because you've taken the skill out of the task. So I'll go over a little bit more the overview of TrackWise really here. So when you first log in, and once this is your day-to-day view of TrackWise, you've got your dashboard where you've got your fields and your businesses and your farms down the one side, and then you've got you can choose whichever field you want, and then it'll have a list of pre-prepared tasks in the bottom ready to go, and you can see the running tasks or you can see the finished tasks. So this is where your day-to-day operation would land. But how do you really get to that day-to-day operation point? First of all, you've got to set up your farm. So the first job of that is map your fields. We use a off-the-shelf mapping GNSS tool, and literally go around mapping the fields. If you want to see how that's done, there are some videos online, or watch the latest season of Clarkson's Farm. That is a pretty simple process. You load in your boundaries first, then you load in your AB lines, then you load in the files for each of your obstacles in the field. Save your field, move on to the next one. And then once you've got all that field data in, you're going to have to add your implements. When we've got a built-in implement creator, so there's you have to go over to your implement, take the measurements it asks for, take a picture of it, save it. It's then in a virtual garage of implements. And then what you do is you marry the implements to the machines. That creates configuration. And once you've got your fields and your configurations done, you can then go to the second step of the sort of automation process, which is pre-planning your tasks. This pre-planning the task is really where the people who have invested have seen the value. They're now they know how much area they're tilling, they know how, or seeding or spraying. They know exactly where the machine's going to run. They know it's going to lift out at the right point and drop in at the right point, and they also know exactly how long it's going to take. So we have an operator in Queensland, and he has to operate in quite tight weather windows. And for the first time ever, he's now ahead of his summer schedule, well, winter schedule, I suppose it is now. So he's ahead, and that's the first time since he took over the farm that he's in that position. And that's because in December he purchased a machine which did all the heavy cultivation work and all the mulching work that he had to do. And the thing runs. You can set it off day or night. It doesn't really matter. It's just when it suits you. So after you've pre-planned, you're going to go send the machine to work, and that's where you've got live monitoring, live feedback. We have basically a data logger on tracks. So pretty much the whole machine's monitored, and you can watch any of the sensors that are on the machine. You can see their values as it's in work. You've also got video feedback. If the machine decides it's found an obstacle that you didn't map in and that isn't planned around, it will send you a notification. If they detects a problem with the system, it will stop the autonomy, it will send you a notification, and then you can go back live stream and start the machine off again. And you can do that from the office, or you can do it from the field, from the other tractor, and you've got full control whether you've got a PC or a phone. And then the final, and I think one of the critical bits of what we've almost got the full feedback loop. Because we've got such a rich data set off every task, you can start doing a lot of optimization and analysis. And any one of those sensor channels, you can pull the data off every second or every 10 seconds. And it starts creating a heat map from each of them. You can export that data back out in Excel format or anything like that. The field shown below, you can when you zoom in on it, you can see that was a Kuhn strip tiller, and we could see exactly where the guys had been running the chaser bin across the tram lines 2 years before, because the engine load had peaked, and you can start pulling patterns out. And it was even more visible when we backed the speed off. So those peaks were more visible against the normal work. And then the future plan for this is we'll be able to auto-generate reports and things like that. So like for each task, how much fuel it used and all that sort of thing. So that's, I think, the smarts of the product. But the hardware, we've got 4 machines now in the portfolio, all of which share the same control systems. They share a lot of the same components, and where they don't share components, it's just because it's a bigger or smaller version. So we've had instances where, for us, we need to get a part from Holland, and it's not been available. We've been able to strip a piece off a demonstrator here get it sent over to New Zealand. And whilst it's in transit, they're reprogramming that control system part on the cloud. As soon as it gets power, it downloads all this information. It's gone from being a tractor machine to a wheeled machine. So, if it works on one, it will work on them all. And the two wheeled machines here, they're like 75 horsepower, and the 5 series down the bottom, that's 156, and the 7 series is 230 horsepower. And they all have standard tractor linkages, standard tractor PTO, standard power beyond, standard isobus. And some of the things that they've been doing with the T2s, if it goes on the linkage or can be towed behind it, pretty much somebody's had a go at it. What they really excel in is the cultivation, deep ripping. We've been doing spraying here up to 36 meters and soon to do 48. And this year they've started seeding with like 12-meter seed drills. So that picture there was taken in Romania, and they're doing 200 hectares of soybean seed in a day. Oh, and of course, we've done quite a lot of tramline renovation here. So, how does AGXEED automation benefit me? This is a picture here of our first customer in Australia. They grow spices, but also for their cover crops, they grow sorghum and cotton. And, for them, they've seen a massive labour saving after the first couple of months getting used to the machine. They're anywhere between 75 and 95% saving on their labour of their tasks. They've used less fuel than ever, and in early tests between the 156 horsepower machine, they tested against a Fendt of about twice the size with twice the size implement. They were saving about 19% fuel in the same field, doing the same job. We've seen a reduced maintenance cost because it's a simple machine. You get rid of the cab. You haven't got all the life support systems that are keeping the operator comfortable. We've actually, although it's autonomous, there's not a lot to it. It's just a generator on tracks. People using them are seeing reduced costs actually running them. They're very versatile. So, we've got a 156 horsepower machine that will lift 8 tons up on the rear and 9 on the bigger machine. So it will pretty much pick up anything you put behind it. And it's very flexible. So, you could be seeding one day, spraying the next. And the other important thing is the soil health. These machines are really designed to try and get back to somewhere between the horse and plough or the grey Fergie in terms of ground compaction. And when you see them move across the ground, they really do float, even though they weigh quite a bit. And in down here in Victoria, one of our customers who's expecting a new machine to turn up this year, he had this machine on trial that's in the picture, and he sent me a picture of his water main that had blown out, and it washed away the profile of one of the trial fields where the robot was running. And he's got root penetration now down to 600 mil, and he could not find a hard pan. So this was about 9 weeks after they planted. They've now harvested these fields, and their trash across the grading line has gone from 20% to 2%, and their grade on their potato crop is much tighter than what it was before. So they can see the benefits, and they're working it quite intensively, and they're driving over pretty much the whole field. So I suppose the results speak for themselves there.
There's been a question in the chat. Now perfect timing, got in the question. So any use in broadacre yet? And I assume that's in Australia?
Yeah, so we have been doing a lot of demonstration in the broadacre with the 156. Unfortunately, like I said right at the start, we held off releasing that to market, and then of course they released the bigger machine, which we go and do the demonstration. Everyone turns around and says, "I like it. We'll consider it when we see the bigger machine turn up." So I've got hundreds of inquiries, and we've demoed to hundreds of people, and that's pretty much the feedback. We have got, AGXEED themselves have got the machine running in places like Romania. They've got some in Ukraine, Western Germany. And those size farms aren't too dissimilar to the size of arable farming we're doing over here. And they're doing big hours, and they're doing a good job. Strip tilling, seeding, deep ripping, tramline renovating. So yeah, we're looking forward to getting the new product here on the ground. We've got one going to South Australia. Our dealer there has purchased a unit, and I think he's got some people lined up. So yeah, it's a lot of interest in WA. It's just a case of getting them here now, which we're underway with at the moment.
And for the setup, so you did say that, pretty much you run around and I assume you sort of pin edges of the farm. So I assume you're sort of creating boundaries, internal, external. Does that have to be redone every year, or is there sort of corrections based on sort of positioning movements?
No. So we use the same RTK signal that the robot runs on. And then, it's as long as nothing changes in the field, you can keep it for good, because we're not using a satellite only correction. We're using that RTK. As long as you don't update your base station credentials or datum point, you'll be fine forever. So yeah, no, it's really important when we do it. That's one of the things we train for when we hand it over. Is like, you got to make sure you got the right credentials. You got to make sure that datum's on the right reference. So we are on a continent that moves quite quickly, but as long as that datum doesn't move, we don't need to redo it. No.
Any questions from the audience? No, I got one final one. The connectivity for the actual bot, is it running off sort of a Starlink or 4G?
Yeah, so I spent a lot of money when I first got to Australia on Selfie boosters, and then 2 weeks later they turned the 3G off. And we just had, at that point, we were buying Starlink on the move, as it was called back then, and spending a lot of money. And luckily, the hardware prices come down significantly now. So I think we make the machines with a Starlink interface, so they come ready to put your Starlink standard dish on. That hardware is about 20th of the cost of what we paid when we first put it on. So there was another reason for delay in the market release. But yeah, no, we just stick a Starlink standard dish on there. It helps with remote diagnostics. It just means it's reliable. The people who have been using them and having them on trial love it, because they're in the field. They can be like 200 meters away from the robot. They've got Wi-Fi. They can make calls, all that other stuff. So it's one of them. Until you have the machine, you don't realise the benefits of A, having connectivity in the field, B, all the knock-on effect from having a robot, like the efficiency gains throughout the process because you've used it at the start of the process. It's definitely one of those things where people have to sort of, once they've had a trial for an extended period, they start seeing the benefits.
We've got one final question from Sonia. So will the machines be able to use the Amazon LEO when it's released shortly? as an alternative to Starlink?
Yeah. So we've basically just got an Ethernet input. So we could still import them with the modem, which has the global SIM card in it, but we've just decided not to. So yeah, that's you could put like a Teltronica mobile router on the side if you wanted, and that would work as long as you got mobile signal. But personally, for the uptime and knowing it works, I always recommend a Starlink for what they cost now.